Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with the Talk of the Tavern. That's right, we came up with a podcast name that was like the most upvoted comment, plus it was a segment on This Week in Hearthstone. Very original, but yes, we're gonna be calling this the Talk of the Tavern. We took last week off because Engine was failing his Masters. How did that go?
Let's not talk about it. Let's not
Have you
talk
got your
about
results back?
Oh, I won't get it back till December, I don't think. But
okay.
yeah, it's all done now. That's all I could ever ask for, really.
So you're free.
Free.
So yeah, that's why we weren't here last week. So fingers crossed for Engine that he will pass, but he's not very confident on it. But if you're anything like I was in school, I thought I failed every exam and then I would come back with like really good marks.
Oh yeah, that's totally me as well.
So yeah. you'll kill it. And we have Theo here as well, who is also you know, what have you been up to? You know, playing Hearthstone and streaming probably, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And yeah, today we're going to cover some of the news and events of the Hearthstone world. We're going to try it a little bit differently rather than going straight into topics. We're talking about a couple of the news stories that have happened in the week, which is like, you know, Iksar and the maybe the mini set coming. We don't know. And then we're going to have our two topics of talking about if THEOTAR and DENATHRIUS should change, not just my opinion on it, but also their opinions. And also just talk about the Tavern Brawl, how it felt like getting 12 wins for me and Theo, and how it felt like getting 1 win for Engine. So yeah, let's talk about the news. I covered this I think 2 days ago. It broke that Iksar is leaving as the like what he called the game director of Hearthstone, second game director to leave this year alone. I gave my thoughts on it in my video where I'm like, I'm sad. I think it's a net negative for the game and all that, but how do you guys feel about it? I guess we could start with Theo here.
Who?
Theo. That's how I say
Who is that? But all right, I think you mean me there. So yeah, yes. Indeed it broke. It's kind of a surprise, right? Because he was only like for a few months the director, I believe.
Yeah,
a few months, surprising. And he was like the he was like the interim one for a little bit.
And he's been a bit of the face of Hearthstone for a while now, so it's kind of a surprise. I'm not really like negative or positive about it. Like he's only been a game director for then a few months. Like it's really hard to change anything in a few months. And yeah, just sad to see him go though. Like he was always interacting, so that's great to see and hope it continues.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same. It's been since I came back to Hearthstone. It's been his AMAs that have sort of defined the beginning of what we know as sort of modern Blizzard communication with the community, right? We've had developments since, but his AMAs really opened the door, and that's how we got a lot of information. And yeah, it's gonna be sad to see him go. You know, he's been there for a long time. Secret Mage finally won't get any more support, although yeah, we'll see about that. Might need a bit of help in standard, but yeah, it's sad to see him go.
Vengeful Visage is insane. What are you talking about?
It's broken, to coin a phrase. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. I'm excited to see what he does next, and also to see who his replacement will be. I mean, I don't know much about Blizzard company structure, but I should imagine it's someone we already know.
Yeah, my thought is like maybe I feel like Celestion it wouldn't be, like he's so involved with other stuff, and I don't know, I feel like it wouldn't be him, but maybe I keep saying Lid Breeden because she just seems like a badass that would be really good for the I think she'd be a lot of fun. She has like no social media presence though, like we only really know her through like the when they have those like developer insight trailers for expansions and stuff, but I've been a big fan of hers. But I mean, if it's someone we don't even know, like not like a lot of these guys aren't on like social media or aren't like that like active and stuff. You don't need to be a known person to be the game director. Like Ben Lee wasn't on Twitter or anything like that when he was there, so it'll be interesting. I feel like they're taken by surprise on it. I feel like they didn't see it even coming that much. Yeah, my general impressions of it. Yeah. And my theory about Iksar is either going to second dinner with his wife and like Ben Brode and all them. But I think it's more like, I think he might end up like with like Riot or something. He's always talking about like League and things like that. I feel like he would want to try something other than a card game. That's my theory.
I was going to say Legends of Runeterra, people watch out.
Yeah. Like I feel like if he went to Riot, it wouldn't be for that. It would be for League's Riot, right? I'm not super familiar. Yeah. I wonder. But I'm excited to see what he does. And yeah, someone who is like at one point like his biggest critic. I was so rude. There's some legendary rants out there that don't exist anymore. But
What a shame.
Yes, it was shocking to me, and to lose him and Atesh Barak in particular, the duels lead, it just has me really kind of bummed because I thought they were doing such awesome work, especially on the communication side of everything, that it's going to be really missed, at least for someone that's on Twitter like all the time like me. Because I can't help myself and problems. Anyways, then we also have had a lot of mini set teasers lately. We're expecting it probably to be announced like maybe this week, the latest next week, about 2 months away. I want to go to Theo for this. He actually plays World of Warcraft and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have any inklings of what like a theme of a Shadowlands thing could be that they haven't touched on, and like what it could be? Like,
Well,
speculate? I don't know.
I haven't really played much Shadowlands, mostly classic. But obviously it's like the jailer is the big bad guy. So that would be like, if it's all about Shadowlands, it would be the obvious mini set card.
Okay.
And then I don't really know much more besides that.
What would the jailer kind of ability be? What, do you know what he like kind of care? Like, is he what kind of class is he? Or I don't even know. I'm so bad with this stuff.
Oh, there's no class. Like, I mean, he looks a bit like a big warrior kind of style, but I mean, it doesn't really say much.
Think he'd be an infused minion?
I don't know. He'd probably be a neutral, right? Like the Denathrius.
Yeah, something like that. I would, because there's always 2 neutral legendaries and 2 class legendaries per mini set. So
especially such a iconic character then from the Shadowlands, although not always for the best iconic part. But
and any class you would like to see get a legendary that hasn't in a while in the mini set engine?
Paladin.
what is that?
Paladin. Yeah, exactly.
What would you give them? Like another pure payoff or a hero payoff? Like they're pushing recruits or like the pure stuff, right?
Well, I think so. Like the pure deck is the one that needs pushing right over the edge. That's the mechanic we've seen forced in the latest set. But I'm not a fan of just shoehorning more things into that particular archetype. I have no idea what it needs, but I'd like to see it not just be a dedicated pure card, because then if it becomes viable, it's just the pure deck that's viable.
Yeah.
If it was a more sort of generically quite good Paladin legendary, I'd prefer that, because then it might slot into several different decks and might be playable in Wild as well. You never know.
I like the direction they were doing with like the Paladin card rather than just like no neutrals in your deck.
Yes.
We saw that with the White Ray, is it called?
Yeah.
And the Elitist Snob.
Yeah, I really like that.
I rather that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a bit of benefit
better.
of playing just Paladin cards, but it's not exactly limiting.
Yes.
Could still play a Wild Pyro or Blade Master was nice in that deck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's,
Or
that's what
even
I'd say.
Smite giving you a win condition.
Yep.
But yeah, any predictions? What you guys think it'll be? I mean, it's got to be like first week of October, I would think. But I mean, who knows? It's just funny that it always seems to coincide with these heroic brawls, which we'll talk about in a bit here. But yeah, the thing I'm seeing for our first big topic, the thing I'm seeing the most on like social media, on Reddit, still like crazy. It's all about THEOTAR and DENATHRIUS. Like, there's a whole camp that's like pro THEOTAR, pro Denathrius, or just a whole camp that wants these cards totally reworked. Like, I've seen people outright wanting THEOTAR to be completely like a Lucia, just removed. It pisses them off so much. And Denathrius, I feel it's died down a bit because the card's gotten a little bit worse with the Kael'thas nerf. Personally, I feel like Denathrius is, I don't know. I just feel like these cards, when you look at HS replay and they're both in like over 45% of the decks, that's the problem I have, is it makes every game or a lot of games feel the same. And that gets boring and then frustrating, because a card like THEOTAR is just inherently frustrating. So I want to start with Theo on THEOTAR.
Oh, I just had THEOTAR. I was like, hey, finally go and then now you already go back into old
THEOTAR.
habits.
I have to say it wrong.
Yeah, Theo is a completely different pronunciation. You know this. It's a completely different name.
So Theotar, would you or Theo, would you change Theotar? I want your guys' stance on the cards, because I'm not even particular sure. I talk about my videos, but I want to hear you guys' takes on it. So
I think the name should be changed so you can't pronounce it this way. Oh, every time I hear it, awful.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, I think about the THEOTAR and DENATHRIUS. The problem is the big problem is just how often they're played. Like, if it wasn't like every other game they were in, it would be a lot more like better. Like, but the thing is that it's so many games, it just becomes kind of boring. Like, oh, I died to Denathrius again because I had an opening hand. I think that's a big deal, but of course also it's part power level why it's so often played.
Yeah, and it's like it's gonna be funny when the next set comes out, and I feel like Denathrius has the chance of just getting shuffled out naturally anyways through power creep, because it's 10 mana. There'll be stuff in the next expansion that kills you for 8 mana. It won't matter, but Theotar is still gonna be there to possibly yoink that.
We've kind of seen it with Kazakhstan. Like, it was so often played like a year ago, or less than a year ago, half a year ago, and now it's like barely anywhere.
I forgot it was in standard, honestly.
I saw it today in Wild, but I did forget it was in standard as well, actually. Thanks for the reminder.
And it was even seeing plenty play after its first nerf, where you had to play like 4 dragons and stuff.
I mean, it wasn't even prevalent. Necessarily a nerf, right? It was more of a change, I think.
Yeah. Because you could actually run other minions now, as long as you had a dragon package with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Engine, with the more wild mindset? I know the wild community seems to be a little bit more pro Theotar than.
Well, you say that. A lot of people are, of course, pro Theotar. Like myself, I love it and I hate it, and I think that's the mindset a lot of people have about it. Because Theotar, I think, unlike standard, has increased in popularity in Wild. People just shoehorn it into everything. I mean, we've seen the rise of these particularly aggressive shaman decks in Wild. Like, even shaman has quickly become more and more popular, and people put Theotar in that. It completely anti the game plan of the deck, and yet people just stuff it in because you remember those games you win with Theotar where you play it and steal their win comp. You don't remember the other 9 where it basically did nothing. It's that kind of card, right? I think in standard it's falling out of favor at higher legend in terms of percentage decks played, but in Wild you see it anywhere and everywhere. But mixed opinions on Theotar. I mean, I think it's brilliant for things like combo prevention in Wild. It's brilliant for that, obviously one of its main intended use cases, but it becomes so incredibly painful to play against if you're playing anything remotely control or slow oriented. I mean, I played a game today, Reno Priest, mirror match, sorry, I don't know what I was so confused about there. They played 7 Theotars. The repeatability, it's just in a control matchup, it's so boring. And that was the bad part. I was playing Reno Priest and they played Theotar and 4 and took the Raza out my hand that I was going to play next turn. So obviously not a completely key part of my deck, but a pretty strong part of the game plan, and I suffered out that game and won eventually, but they played 7 Theotars. It's just that card,
a little bit frustrating.
It's frustrating. People really don't like it. But of course, if we didn't have it, a lot of combo decks would probably start to appear again. So it feels almost like a necessary evil in Wild. But I think a lot of people are at the point where they'd almost rather play against Mechathune Warlock, more than have Theotar around keeping that at bay, because it's just so frustrating.
It's a whole different annoying to face rather than blowing up. You're just
I mean, you don't have raised,
don't even get to play your cards.
Yeah, you don't have raised dead in standard anymore and be thankful about it, basically.
Yeah, I think for Wild it's like a better card from a standard, because there's just more variety now in Wild, because it isn't all combo anymore.
Yes.
And Denathrius isn't even super prevalent in Wild, because it was like a druid card basically.
No, it's basically just a druid card and shaman.
And with the Guffner, if it's it's not quite there anymore.
No.
Guff, alignment, all that stuff.
No, I mean, Reno Druid is still really good thanks to the presence of Reno Priest. Reno Druid tends to absolutely slaughter the control matchups in Wild because of Denathrius, and that is a driving factor of that matchup, as well as things like Elise and OG Highlander Alexstrasza. It's a great deck. I recommend anyone who loves that kind of druid deck to try it out. You'll do well at the moment with all the Reno priests in Wild.
Oh really? I tried it in a Tavern Brawl. Didn't go so well.
Well, Tavern Brawl meta's a bit different. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Denathrius, I feel like is fine in Wild. I haven't played any standard yet. I plan to start my climb probably tomorrow or the day after. So I couldn't speak to standard. But yeah, Theotar's just frustrating. Just absolutely frustrating. I really did think it would see a mana bump last patch. I was almost convinced.
Yeah,
I feel like at 5 the card is still like you're gonna run it almost as much.
No, I think 5 cuts a lot in like tempo decks. Like it's already on the edge in tempo decks, and now
that's
it's
what
like,
I like.
I think it's just more. It's really gonna be a tech card at 5 because now it's just too often played.
Yeah, it's like Starfish.
It
right?
reminds me almost of.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. It reminds me almost of like when Polkelt was like, that was a card that was running like Highlander Hunter, and it was just like a good tempo card, even though it was meant to be more of like either a combo enabler or like a control like manipulator. It was like running so many decks because just tutoring that card, and then they made it 5, and then it just slotted into those type of decks, and maybe Theotar getting that treatment. I don't like. I've heard I've heard people like wanting just to Lucia it, and it's like you discover a copy of a card in like
it's the worst Madame Lizzle.
Yeah, basically. So I don't know. I feel like the way the direction is still with the power creep in the game, that you kind of want that check there, but it's just, I think it's just too flexible. It's just still too good. So yeah, I still think it will get changed at some point. I don't think they'll kill it, but I think 5 mana certainly could be something. And yeah, with Denathrius, I still am not. I still am not sold it's a problem or not in standard. I don't know. I wouldn't touch it until at least a good chunk after the mini set. Because like it's died off a good amount. You don't have the brand problem as much anymore. Because Druid is not nearly as prevalent, and they're the only ones that can really do it. Relic DH is still not very good. It's just more of a scam high roll deck, and I tried it yesterday and just losing to everything. It just did not feel good. And then like Beast Hunter, which does run it, really felt like very little. Like it just felt like you run it because you run 40 cards. I went like 5 or 6-0, and I didn't play the card once. I had it in my hand like one time.
I mean, it's more like just not drawing it, right? And it wasn't really a detriment. It could have been any card.
Yeah, I just feel like it just kind of gets boring to get punished for removing your opponent's board and then dying from insane bursts from hand by this 1/10 drop, and it gets a little bit boring and all that. But
yeah, I feel like
I've seen
I wish there was some way to see it, like how much damage it would have done or something, like so we at least can anticipate it a bit. Now it's just, well, let's hope they don't have it.
I'm sure there's a certain deck tracker which could help you with that, Theo.
No, I don't think there is.
And you can't even immolate it. Isn't that ridiculous? It dodges immolate because it turns into a new card every time a minion dies.
Unless you don't kill any minions.
Oh, does it?
Problem.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a different minion.
Yeah.
That's why
I knew it
Parrot copies
changed.
it.
I didn't know it removed the immolate effect.
So like an immolate would actually, you would think immolate would be a good tech because that card's there supposed to be an anti-control card, and if they're holding an expensive card, well, they're screwed and they can't dump it. Well, it just turns into a new card. It doesn't even matter.
Sorry.
Not that I want immolate to be meta.
No, that's not
toxic.
Sorry, Zeddy, you lost me at the. You'd think immolate would be a good card, but sorry, lost me at that.
I have never thought that. I even tweeted when that card was revealed. I'm like, why are we making a card like this? It's probably going to suck, but if it is good, it's just super polarizing and frustrating. Like I don't understand why they make cards like that. But it turned out it's been unplayable so far, outside of like people playing what were you guys playing in Wild for a little bit? That was also terrible with it. That 8-mana card.
Void
Contract.
Yeah. You guys were running immolate Void Contract. Like why? And
that was entirely for the Celestial alignment matchup, pretty much, because there was so much alignment druid around. You
just have to get rid of one card and they can't win.
You either burnt Mechathune with Immolate, or you deleted their post-alignment deck with Contract, and it was surprisingly effective. But silver bullets, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, I mean, it feels like Theotar is the bigger target from most people, and but yeah, I do hear a lot of complaints, but I'll be interested to see if how people comment on that. And then yeah, this week we was the Wild Heroic Brawliseum, whatever you want to call it, the gold sync before the mini set comes out. As content creators, we all participated. I only did 3 runs. I went 5 wins with Quest Mage, 8 wins with I don't even remember what my other deck was. What was my other deck?
Rogue deck?
Oh yeah, the Miracle Rogue, the Edwin Rogue. And then I went 12 wins with Curse Control Warlock. And it was actually, I really enjoyed playing the Curse Control Warlock because it felt like an old control style deck. A lot of every game felt like it was super close, and I had to actually make decisions. And it was cool to get 12 wins, but even like getting 8 wins, like that's well above average, felt terrible for rewards. Like it is such a, it's so like, even at the difference between 11 and 12 is like 600 to 700 gold and like 20 something packs. Like
it's like you double the rewards.
It's such a it's such a horribly like unfulfilling reward structure unless you hit 12, and then it's like, oh my god. But most people aren't going to hit 12. They're going to be like Engine, and that's the struggle. So but yeah, I'm still on the thing, like it, and that he's still not communicating the rewards in game. For me, it's like this event, I actually think this should be a permanent thing. I think Brawliseum, whether it be heroic or regular, should be its own little mode that you could always play. So you have like your own little tournament competitive mode you could play ladder on, and then have that rewards like scheme in the game, so you know. And then it doesn't even have to take away the free pack from Tavern Brawl. Like, I'm not against the event, I'm just against how they do it. I don't like how they take away the free stuff, and I don't like the way it's not transparent at all with the rewards, and it feels like they're intentionally doing that because it comes out right before a mini set every time, so you can't help but be skeptical. But that's my take. How about you, Theo? Theo, sorry.
All right, so I'd like to touch a bit more on the rewards part, because you mentioned, right, you can't see it in game. There wasn't even a message on the Hearthstone website about it. So you really just have to search for it to see what the rewards are.
Yep.
But also I'd like to mention that if you look at the total rewards and like how much they give back, it's only like 70%. If you calculate, you know, dust and gold, or dust and packs to gold.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's only like you get about 700 gold, like in the pool for the rewards. Like I think that's really, really low.
Yeah.
So you basically, it's like 30% just to the dealer, and well, that's quite a lot, especially when normally the brawl, right, is +1 pack if you play it. I'm like, why don't they just, at least have even, you don't need to have 1,000 rewards exactly, but like, why not just increase like the pack rewards for everything under like 9 wins by 2 or 3?
Yeah. It make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's still like, you still lose like gold overall, the community, right? That's what Blizzard wants then. And you still spend gold, so you can't maybe buy the mini set with it. But also, it doesn't feel as bad when you get like no wins, right? Because you went like 1 win today, you get 2 packs.
Yeah,
it's gotta feel horrible.
For 1,000 gold.
Yeah, you spend 1,000 gold, you go 1 and 3, and you get 2 packs back. Like you have to go 5 and 3, so well above average, to get like your rewards basically back, and then after that you get to make profit. Like, it's a ridiculously bad reward structure, and I really think, at least give some more back, just a few packs, so having the low wins doesn't feel as bad. You can still have the 12 win be insane, right? Because there's only very few that get it. But like, at least give, the few rewards, like, give some more packs to it.
Yeah. I mean, this was the most fun I'd had playing Wild in months, and I think a lot of people feel the same. I mean, you saw a lot of standard players also getting into it. I agree with Zeddy. It should. I don't know about permanent, because I feel like it would ruin sort of the specialness of it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think it should be a regular thing, though. I'd like to see maybe it have a little ladder associated with it. Run it once a month or something for a week or a couple of days, and see who gets the most wins or 12 win streaks or something, and it would be really fun. I saw a lot of the big standard streamers trying it out, you know, Tice and all that were playing their variety of different decks. I saw people on stuff from Quest Mage to Reno Priest to the Curse Warlock to the new Miracle Rogue decks to a couple of homebrews. I think I saw Reno Hunter once go 12 wins, and I even saw a couple of standard players winning it with standard decks. I mean, I saw a standard Quest Priest go 12 and 2. Don't know if you guys saw that.
I did.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been enjoying it. It's a really fun introduction to Wild for people who honestly don't see the value there, because there is none in playing Wild Ladder. And it gave a lot of them a reason to try, and I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised. I had a lot of fun playing it. I didn't get to 12 wins. I played 5 runs. 2 of them today were 1 and 3 and 2 and 3.
I watched the entirety of those. There was just like nothing. Like there was one game, I kid you not, Engine, I'm going to talk for him because I'm salty for him. He's playing Reno Priest against like a greedy Ticketus Warlock who plays a card called Twisted Knowledge that nobody ever plays. Discover 2 Warlock cards. The 2 cards he discovers is the Agony card that puts the fatigue damage, so it negates his Reno and all that stuff, and he gets Jiraxis as the other card for infinite 6/6s. And it came down to like the last turn where the guy they were
on
go
6 health. I nearly won that game, but because they played the Curse of Agony card the turn before I was going to coin Raza to get 0 mana hero pack, meant I lost. So yeah, it literally came down to 3 hero powers that I could have easily gotten with that. So yeah, it feels bad having a Wild Heroic Brawl where you can just lose to that kind of stuff, but it was still an immense amount of fun, I think, overall. It's just the high price of entry that gets me. But again, as you said, wouldn't mind it so much if it was a more permanent thing. I really enjoyed it.
My idea is you have like the Brawliseum mode, and every week is new rules, and maybe 1 week it's heroic, 1 week it's regular, 1 week it's wild. Hell, you could have 1 week it's like a crazy Tavern Brawl rules. We've seen that before too. And it'd just be a mode where you can go try out different stuff and try and earn rewards, and like it'd be either arena style or heroic. So Hearthstone always wins with those structures. It's not like that would change. I just think that'd be really cool, and it's not like it would take much to manage it. And then you have like a kind of tournament mode. It's kind like like people have been wanting something like that forever. I've pitched this 3 or 4 times in Iksar AMA. Speaking of Iksar, he never replied to one of them. He replied to most of my questions. He never replied to that. So I feel like it's like out of the question, because he would at least humor it maybe. But that'd be like a dream mode for me. It's just like a permanent Brawliseum mode, because I always enjoy them. I just kind of prefer the regular ones, because then you don't have to put 1,000 freaking gold and more people can play.
I think
and you don't have to get free.
Though with it is just, if you want to do it regularly, like people just don't have the gold for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could reduce the rewards if you had it more often.
Say the same about Arena.
And reduce the entry cost. You could reduce the rewards and the entry cost, I think, because if you had that 12-win structure, there's people like I'm just going to talk about for Wild, like Hijo, and who went like 5 12-win runs in 2 days. The first day, I think he got 3-0 with Reno Priest and 2 with Miracle Rogue, all back to back. So people like that would win a lot if you had the same heroic Tavern Brawl structure all day. But you could perhaps lower the entry fee, which would make it more accessible, lower the prize support as well, in accordance. And it would still be really worth it, because you pay 500 gold and you get to play a fun game mode for the chance that a couple of maybe 2 golden legendaries and 25 packs or whatever, half the rewards are. And that would be really fun. And 4 weeks in a month, you could have standard, wild, arena, and then like a heroic arena, and then like a Duels run or something. Make Duels more interesting. I don't know, you could have sort of a wild card slot. It would be a lot of fun. I do think.
Thing is, you can look through Hijo's Twitter. I know he posted all those 12 wins, but his gold kept going down. If you look at it, his gold. So he did really well, but he wasn't even going infinite. He wasn't going, because you literally have to go 12 every run just to make a tiny profit, like 100 gold. So. Nobody's gonna be able to game it, and even if they let's say the really best players in the world can game it like they do Arena, those aren't the people they're targeting to take resources from. That doesn't matter. They're they want to, you know, siphon the more casual player anyway. So, but just to be able to have that risk reward thing is fun. I'm not like I said, I actually like them. I just think the way they communicate it and the timing of it is pretty just, yeah, it's kind of gross. Yeah. And like it just feels, because I look through, I was like, for some videos, I looked through the history of Heroic Brawl in particular. I think there's been 5 or 6 of them. Every single one, except for one, came out within a month before major content. The last Heroic Brawl literally ended the day the mini set came out because it got pushed back because of a balance patch, which is why I think the mini set will be announced when this one ends, because that, like, the last one got pushed back a week, then they announced it during it. This one didn't get pushed back a week. It hasn't been announced. I think it'll be announced right after. So that's my tinfoil hat. And the only other time they did not do a Heroic Brawl before a major event, they actually gave it a free ticket. It was like it was just actually an event. They were trying to have fun. It was the first ever Wild one. They gave everyone a free ticket for the Heroic one. Oh, wow. And never again since then, and it's always been before major content since then. So it's hard not to be a little bit jaded when you look at that, right? Like, and nobody responded to my tweet about communicating it again. I have talked to someone at Blizzard about it. They've told me to keep bitching about it, basically. Try and get it changed, but I don't know. It's really disheartening, but there's been a lot, like, monetization-wise around Hearthstone. It's been really disheartening with runestones and all that, and that I feel kind of bad that Iksar's left, and the last big thing that has happened before he leaves is runestones and the Battlegrounds pass, when I can't imagine like that as like a game director for 3 months. This has obviously been in the works for a while, that he was like, you know, the big driving force behind this thing. That's more of a corporate marketing side that the game director at the time would work with them to try and figure something out, right?
Mm-hmm. It'll kind of be his legacy for some people.
But, sad, yeah. But I mean, that's the way it goes, right? But I would like to think his legacy would be that Alaneth was his favorite wild card, and, or no, the Maxima blasted.
Yeah, Cthulhu. That'll be always the first thing I think of when you talk about him in the game. Yeah,
him testing out.
How dare he play a testing deck on ladder? How dare he cheat?
Like, dude, it's a cool glitch and it's freaking Wild Ladder. Who cares? Like, yeah. Everybody else is doing it, and no one got banned for it. Like, if someone got in trouble for it, then okay, sure. But like, I don't know. I thought it was a bit silly that people got upset, but it, you know, it does kind of look bad, I guess, because, you know, he'll take that Wild Grandmaster spot that doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. The Wild Open next month, didn't you hear?
Surely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there was also the news about Hearthstone Esports World Championships. I guess we could talk about that briefly before we wrap up here. Abar replied to people getting mad that they were talking about Aegis Esports tweeted about the last few events for the end of the year. I think there's like, I don't know if this is another Masters Tour, but there's like World Championships, and so people are like, can you at least say there's going to be World Championships next year? Like, come on. So Abar, who's like the kind of the head of the esports thing, said, I'm not really allowed to say things and stuff, but I can confirm that next year there will be a World Championships for Hearthstone. There will be an esports program, and that's all he could say. So if you're wondering about that, which I'm sure so many of you are, there will be World. Theo, you're going to qualify, right?
Of course, easy.
Just spam THEOTAR. But yeah, no Wild Open. Like it's like pulling teeth to get standard esports events. Like we're gonna get Wild anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah, maybe we should just look a little bit more at Wild for things, just a tiny bit more.
They need to do it. Well, they won't. There needs to be a big balance patch before they do, because the notion of esports in Wild is a big omega lol at the moment. If you speak the Twitch chat lingo, that's the image that comes to mind. Yeah, no. It's not going to happen, I don't think. I know there's people at Blizzard who are very pro it. I've talked to a couple of people, and they're, quote, on my side. So, we can hope. But I think it requires...
It's like pulling teeth for them to get any resources for anything in that damn game, though, from what I... Like, from what I can tell, and trying to convince them to put resources into a wild event is like just laughable from what I can tell.
Hey,
sadly,
look, maybe these bundles they introduced with the Brawliseum gave them a bit of data on how much interest there is. We don't know, because they added gold bundles specifically for this. I didn't buy it personally, 'cause it's so expensive.
I'm sure Zeddy did.
I doubt it either. Wild packs.
I bought all the price for the dust is actually insane. It's the best dust value they've ever given out.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh.
So it's literally for dust whales like me. Nobody else should buy it, but it was like
Zeddy, you already have all the cards
legendaries. I'm still missing a lot, and yeah, I mean, it's funny. I fight so much for the monetization stuff, and then I wail out more than anybody. It really doesn't make any sense.
How many runestones have you bought so far?
The minimum I've had to buy the new portraits in those bundles. I haven't bought any other than that, but I mean, it's funny that the runestones, like, I'm probably making a video on this, like, they literally pretty much changed nothing in terms of how much you would spend if you were to buy what you wanted to buy from before, but you're less likely to because you don't want to buy them. Like, it's actively hurting them right now.
It's a massive psychological effect.
Yeah.
The
optics are bad.
Everything's priced the same. Everything's priced the same outside of if you want to buy Battlegrounds portraits individually, or a tavern ticket, or coins in Mercenaries, which you never buy anyways because it's already a ripoff. You can buy everything in even runestone amounts, so it's not like you actually have that excess problem basically at all yet, but still you don't want to buy them, and a lot of people haven't, and rightfully so. It's just funny, like, it's definitely hurt their bottom line short term, but that's why I keep saying they're not doing this to be greedy. They're doing this to get around gambling laws, which is a whole different problem in itself, that they should be, like, you know, banning these loot box crap. But I'm certain they're doing it more because of that than being greedy, in my opinion, because this short term it's definitely hurt. I can't see a way around it. You can't even gift them. It's just super weird.
Yeah, that's the main downside for me. Sorry, Theo.
Oh yeah, the optics are just bad for it, but overall the only problem I have with it is just that you have spare runestones, you can't use them on anything. Like, if you want to buy portraits in Battlegrounds, you have runestones left. There's no way around it. And it's the only problem. If you could just swap them to gold, like, there wouldn't really be any big problems with the system.
Or arcane dust, or more mercenary coins.
I know the engine has invested quite a bit in mercs. I'm sure he would be interested.
Shut up, Theo. Oh.
How much was it again? 120 quid?
You know full well how much it was.
You're welcome for helping getting that done, by the way.
Bastard.
Anyways, I guess we'll wrap up there. Thank you guys for joining in again, and I can always let us the comments below if there's stuff you want to ask for us to answer. We haven't done any answering stuff yet, but we'll get to that at some point. And I've been strictly told by Theo that he doesn't want me to stay salty, my friends, because we're it's our own unique entity. So thank you guys for joining us in the tavern. We'll talk to you later. How's that?
Stay salty, Zeddy.
Stay salty, my friends.